Okay, so far we discussed about two methods which are bisection method and false position methods. Okay, so both are similar except in calculation of Cn. Okay, so now the third method is a fixed point iteration method. Okay, so first of all, what do you mean by fixed point? Okay, so fixed point is nothing but the point satisfying this condition f of a equal to a. Okay, so the number which maps to itself is said to be fixed point for the mapping a. This is the domain, this is the codomain. You have a function from a to b. You have a function from one set to another set. Okay, shall I proceed? So if you have a function, you have an input, you have an output. The output is called image of the point. So the points need not be mapped to the same points. The points which are mapped to itself are called fixed points of the given function. For a given function, fixed point may exist, may not exist. Okay. For example, if I take let me take a blank page. For example, if I take a function f of x equal to x, what is the fixed point? What are the fixed points of this function? Every point is a fixed point, no? Because 1 is mapped to 1, 2 is mapped to 2, 3 is mapped to 3 because of the definition of this. Okay, so whenever a point is mapping to itself, that is called fixed point. So for an identity function, every point is a fixed point. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Let us take another example. Let us take f of x equal to x square. What are the fixed points for this?
0, 1.
0 mapped to 0. 1 maps to 1. Minus 1 maps to 1. Minus 2 maps to 4. 2 also mapped to 4 and so on. So for this function, how many fixed points are there? X equal to 0 and 1 are the fixed points. Only 2 fixed points. Okay. Whereas if you take f of x equal to e power x, is there any fixed point for this function?
No, sir.
Okay, so the point is not mapped to itself, therefore there is no fixed point for this function. Okay, so there is no point for which e power x equal to x, because exponential grows like this. Okay, there are no fixed points for this. E power 0 is 0, no? E power 0 is 1. Okay, so every function need not have a fixed point. Okay, even if the fixed point exists, even if a fixed point exists, that may not be unique. That may be one or more than one. Okay, if you take sin x, what are the fixed points of sin x?
0.
Only 0. X equal to 0 is the only fixed point. Okay, so the number of fixed points may be unique or may not be unique. Okay, and the fixed points may exist, may not exist. Okay, so that is the fixed point theory is a big theory actually, but here it is not, it is about fixed point iteration method. Okay, so now the point is we want to find out a real root of the equation f of x equal to 0, which is similar to bisection method or false position method. An equation is given like this, which may be algebraic equation or transcendental equation. We want to find out a real root of this equation. Okay, so when an equation is given like this, you can rewrite this equation as x equal to g of x in several ways. Do you agree? Suppose if I write an equation like this, x square minus x plus 1 equal to 0. In how many ways you can write this as x equal to g of x form? Can you tell me? I can write it as x equal to x square plus 1. This is one way. But is this the only way? I can write this as x square equal to 1 minus x, or x equal to 1 minus x whole power 1 by 2. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
So that means if you write like this, g of x is x square plus 1. If you write like this, g of x is 1 minus x whole power 1 by 2. So like this, you can rewrite this given equation as x equal to g of x in several ways. Is that okay? Now solving this equation is same as solving this equation. Do you agree? So if I call this as g of x, see what do you mean by root of the equation? Something which has to satisfy this equation. That means if I want to say x equal to c is a root, that means it has to satisfy. That means c square minus c plus 1 equal to 0. So that means what? This also will satisfy this equation, right? When x equal to c satisfies this equation, x equal to c also satisfies this equation, because these two equations are I'm just writing this equation in another form. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
That means to say that c equal to g of c. That means to say that c equal to g of c. What is the c? What is g? Where g is nothing but x square plus 1. Now whenever c equal to g of c, then what is c called to this function g? C equal to g of c means, what is the point c called?
Fixed point.
Fixed
Root.
point. For the function, fixed point of which function? For this function,
G of C.
g of x. Function is g of x. G of c is a functional value. Got it? So this is an equation given. What equation is given? Equation is given in the form. Equation is given in the form f of x equal to 0. You are rewriting this equation as x equal to g of x, where g of x is like this. Okay, so finding the root of this equation is nothing but finding the fixed point of the function g of x. Do you agree? Do you follow?
Yes, sir.
So in order to find out root of the given equation, rewrite the given equation in the form of x equal to g of x. Okay, and try to find out the fixed point of g of x. If you can find out the fixed point of g of x, this is going to be the root of, that is going to be a root of the given equation. Okay, now how do you find out fixed point of g of x? Okay, that fixed point of g of x is nothing but the point of intersection of y equal to x and y equal to g of x. Am I right? C equal to g of c means what? C is satisfying the equation y equal to x, c is satisfying the equation y equal to g of x. Okay, so these two are equal. So y equal to x is a straight line, y equal to g of x is some other curve. Wherever these two are intersecting, that point of intersection is going to be the fixed point. Do you agree? So if you want to, okay, so if you want to find out fixed point of a function, if you want to find out fixed point of a function, draw the graph of this function and draw this line. Draw the line y equal to y equal to x. This is y equal to g of x. G of x. Wherever they are intersecting, they are the fixed points, because let us say this is C1, this is C2. C1 equal to G of C1. That means C1 is a fixed point, and it is intersecting at C2 also. That means C2 is on this line also. That means C2 equal to G of C2. That means C2 is also fixed points. So if these two are intersecting, then they are the fixed points of the function. If they are not intersecting, the curve is like this. If the line is like this and the curve is something like this, that means there may not be any fixed point. There is no fixed point. Is it clear? So
Yes, sir.
right. So now the point is, how do we find out a fixed point? Okay. If you cannot find out the fixed point, try to find out a sequence of approximations which are converging to the fixed point. Because numerical method is all about finding approximate values. We are not going to find out the exact values. We are going to apply an iterative procedure, okay, which will take us to nearest to the exact value. Okay. So our idea is to find out a sequence, okay, which will converge to the fixed point. But so for that, what we do? We create a sequence like this. Okay. So you take x0 as an initial approximation. Okay. You assume that. So let us say C is the fixed point. Let us say C is the fixed point. Fixed point is somewhere here. You start with some initial approximation C0, x0. What you do, you substitute x0 in the function g. You substitute this x0, in the function g. You will get some value, no? That value you call it as x1. This is the successive approximation, or I will call it as second approximation. When you say this is the first approximation or initial approximation, the value which is obtained by substituting this value in g is called the successive approximation. Then what you do, again you substitute this x1 in g. You generate x2. Whatever the value you are getting, you call it as x2. Again you substitute this in g. You get x3. Again you substitute that in g. You generate x4 and so on. So as you proceed, finally you will get a formula like this: xn plus 1 equal to g of xn, or xn equal to g of xn minus 1. Okay, you are getting x0. We started with x0. Next you got x1. Next you got x2. Next you got x3, and so on. Now the question is whether this sequence of approximations really converging to C or not. Are they diverging? Are they converging towards C? Under what conditions the convergence is guaranteed? Under what conditions the convergence is guaranteed? Okay. So those conditions are specified here. They are only sufficient conditions. They are not necessary conditions. Okay. So what is G? This G is nothing but whatever the function you got here. When an equation is given like this, you can rewrite this equation as x equal to g of x in several ways. You among several ways you take one function. You just take one function g of x and see if it is satisfying these conditions or not. Okay. So g must map to okay. You have an interval on which g is defined. Whatever the value you take in the interval, g of x also should fall in the same interval I. Okay. So suppose if the interval is 0 to 1. Okay. And when you substitute x in the g, output is also should fall in the interval 0 to 1. That means g is mapped to I to I. G is mapping from I to I. That should be the case. Second one, it has to be continuous on the interval. G must be continuous on this interval. Whatever the interval you are considering, on this function, on this interval, the function must be continuous. Not only continuous, okay, it has to be differentiable, and the absolute value of the derivative must be less than k. Where is that k? K is less than 1. And some others simply say that modulus of g dash of x is less than 1. When k is less than 1, see, by transitive property I can say that modulus of g dash of x is less than 1. So what are the three conditions? G must be a continuous function on interval I, and G must map from I to I, and its absolute difference. The absolute value of the derivative must be less than 1. The absolute value of the derivative must be less than 1 for all points in that interval. Not only just for one value. For all points in that interval, the absolute value of the derivative must be less than 1. If the function is satisfying all these three conditions, then whatever the point you start with, you take with any point in this interval. C may be here. Somebody may start initial approximation like this. X naught may be here. Somebody may start X naught here. Somebody may start X. Somebody may take X naught as like this. Whatever the X naught you take in this interval, that X naught will give you a convergent sequence, which will converge to the exact root. Okay, they are only sufficient conditions. I am repeating, they are only sufficient conditions. They are not necessary. That means what? Even if some functions may fail to satisfy this criteria, but still you may get convergence. But for sometimes it may give a divergent sequence. If any function fail to satisfy any these conditions, okay, then the sequence may converge, may not converge to the exact root. But if these conditions are satisfied, definitely they will be converging. So among several ways you take among several functions like this, you take a function which will satisfy these three conditions, and that function will give you a convergent sequence of which will converge to the exact root. Is that okay? So that is what the theorem says. Okay, g of x by an iteration. So this g of x is called iteration function. Okay, whatever the function, because this only is giving the sequence of approximations, right? It is called iteration function. The function g of x is called iteration function. Okay, so the iteration function satisfying 1, 2, 3, then g of x has exactly one fixed point. Okay, it is guaranteeing the existence of fixed point c in the interval I, and that fixed point is only one, unique. Okay, that fixed point also exists in the interval. The sequence generated by the fixed point converges to the actual C. Okay, that is what I was telling. Okay, so when an equation is given, so you try to mainly you have to look for this third condition, whether the absolute value of the derivative is less than 1 in an interval, at least in an interval. Okay, so if that is satisfied, then you take with some initial approximation that will give you a convergent sequence. Okay, so let us so see this case. See here how it happens. See, this is y equal to x, this is y equal to g of x. Okay, we are trying to find out a fixed point of g of x. Okay, you started with some initial approximation x naught, you substitute x naught in g. Okay, so you substitute x naught in g. What is g of x naught value? The height. Do you understand? This point is nothing. This is the graph of y equal to g of x. Okay, so substitute x naught in g, you will get g1 of x. g1 of x is nothing but g of x naught. This is nothing but g of x naught only. This g of x naught we are calling it as x1. Okay, now you give that x1 value. Where is x1 value? You correlate this with y equal to x. Okay, so this is x1. Now again you substitute this x1 value in the function g. That function was g of x1. This is what? This is g of x1. When you substitute x1 in the function, this is g of x1. Again you map g of x1 with the line. Okay, so that is x2. Again x2 you give in g, x3. Okay, now again this is x3. x3 you give in g, x4. Again you give x5, x6, x7, x8, x9. Okay, so as you increase the number of iterations, this sequence of approximation, see, this is a fixed point. Fixed point is nothing but the point of intersection of the line with g of x curve. And you see, so this is the exact root. This is the fixed point of the function g. Now you see, x1 is here, x0 is here, x1 is here, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6, x7, x8, x9. So the sequence is converging to C as you increase the number of iterations. Why? Because you see modulus g dash of x. G dash of x is nothing but the slope of the tangent to the curve. You can see that is less than 1 means what? That is less than 1 means what? Tangent angle must be less than 45 degrees, okay, or more than 135 degrees. See here, modulus of g dash of x is less than 1. In this case, 135 to 180. You see here, in this case, you start with an initial approximation x naught here, x naught, okay. When you substitute x naught in g, you will get x1. See, this is x1. When you substitute x1, this is x1. See, y equal to x. When you substitute x1 again in the function, you will get x2. x2. Again substitute x2 in the function, you get x3. Again substitute x3 in the function, you will get x4. Okay, so this is the point of intersection. You see, this is the point of intersection. So when you start with x naught from right side, it is giving a convergent sequence like this. You may start with x naught from left hand side also. That also giving the convergent sequence. X naught correlate x1 correlate x2 correlate and so on. So as increase the number of iterations, this sequence also converging to exact exact root. This sequence also converging to exact root, because in both the cases, okay, the slope of the tangent, the magnitude of the slope of the tangent to the curve is less than 1, or the tangent is making less than 45 degrees or more than 135 to 180 degrees, I guess. Okay, 135 to 180 or 90 to 135. When modulus of g dash of x will be less than 1. Tell me. Whereas here, when the derivative is greater than 1, see the divergence does not guarantee. You see here, for this curve you see, yeah, I think 135 to 180. See here, it is 92. Okay, so you start with an initial approximation here, x naught here, it is giving x1. Again substitute x1 here, you got x2. Again substitute x2 here, you got x3, and so on. See here, point of intersection is exactly here. Point of intersection is here. Point of intersection is here. This is the exact root. We started with initial approximation, which is very much nearer to the root, but where the sequence is taking us, see, x naught, next where is x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6. We are not coming closer to the C. We are diverging away from C. Okay, so
Sir,
this tell me.
it's break time, sir. Sorry, sir.
Huh?
It's our break time, sir.
Okay, I will stop. Okay, I will stop. Let me conclude this. Okay. So because the modulus of derivative is greater than 1, the sequence is diverging. Here also you see the sequence is diverging. x0, x1, x2, x3. They are not coming closer to the root. Okay. So as long as these conditions are satisfied, the sequence guarantees the convergence. If the derivative is not less than 1, the sequence may or may not be convergent. Okay. So in the next class we'll do problems based on this. Okay. So what is the formula for the sequence? What is the formula for the sequence of approximations in iteration method? Xn plus 1 equal to g of xn, or xn equal to g of xn minus. Is it okay?